Today we're talking about random acts of marketing. And we have random acts of marketing all over our newsletter, our blog, just about every communication that we send out has something about why we oppose random acts of marketing, and we really prefer that you use a system. Now, a lot of people are probably thinking, what's wrong with random acts of marketing?
Well, and there are a number of things wrong with random acts of marketing, but it's not easy to see until somebody actually lays it out and explains it to you.
Right. And when you were in school, in the MBA program, you guys talked about marketing, and it was a lot simpler when you guys talked about it.
Yes, but it wasn't talked about as a system approach. It was talked about as, they didn't use the term, but random acts of marketing.
Exactly. And there didn't used to be anything wrong with random acts of marketing, especially in the aviation industry. You could show up at a trade show, demonstrate your product to people. You could buy an ad in any aviation magazine. Trade a plane was pretty much the de facto standard in the FBOs. I know you still read this one. Airport Business, Plane and Pilot, some of the other magazines. You could buy an ad and get pretty good response. But three things happened that have changed the world. Some of which for the better and some of which not, but it is the reality of where we are. So,
the first one would be aviation went global. With respect to business, sales, aviation, aircraft, products, services. As you know, China's a big one now.
Mm-hmm.
India's growing. Europe is almost like we are. And then you talk about Asia,
Latin America, and
the whole world.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. So you can't just go to an aviation show and expect to cover the market, or not have any competitors. So you've got competitors in China. You probably got competitors in Latin America. You also have people who you want to sell to in those markets, and you're not going to get to them in going to 2 trade shows a year like you used to be able to do.
In fact, we have worked with folks in Moscow, and we've worked with folks in Europe,
Mm-hmm.
Australia,
Mm-hmm.
all over.
Yeah. France, Egypt,
Yeah, it goes on.
Exactly.
The second thing is the trade shows and magazines. Magazines, there used to be 4 or 5.
Mm-hmm.
Now you can almost say there are 100 plus aviation magazines alone.
Mm-hmm.
And so which one do you put your ads in?
Mm-hmm.
And how do you know? They don't even know which ones are doing well.
Exactly. In fact, as they're proliferating, it's diluting the number of people that subscribe to each one. It used to be everybody subscribed to 5 different aviation magazines, and now there are so many that it's really hard to keep up with those. And of course, they've also been diluted by the internet. They have their online blogs. There's a lot of places online where people get their news, so they may not even be subscribing to the paper magazines anymore. The paper magazines are charging the same rates for your advertising, and they have a lot fewer people reading them.
Yeah, and then, as we all know, the economy went south, and even today, even though there's supposedly a recovery going on, a lot of businesses, large and small, are sitting back and waiting to see what's going to happen before they invest dollars, which means you've got to have a marketing system in place to actually get their attention and, with any kind of luck, coerce them into buying.
Right. A couple of the effects of the economy going south, and this has a lot to do with, there's a lot more that goes into this, like more regulation because of 9/11, of the industry, and other things that went into that. But just the economy tanking, just because of that, a lot of people are taking a lot longer to make a decision to spend money. They don't just decide to buy something, they actually get a lot more of their organization involved in the purchase decision. They talk about it for days, weeks, sometimes months in the process of deciding how to spend their money. It's not as easy as it used to be to build those relationships and get people's trust, especially after a lot of the corporate scandals that have happened in the last few years. People wonder, can I really trust this company if I don't know them, or if they...
So you got to position yourself as the go-to provider, the guy that's the expert and knowledgeable. Even if you compare other products that aren't yours with your product, sometimes you'll lose a sale of that, but on the other hand, most of the time, they will see that you are, in fact, the expert and will go to you.
Exactly. So, I mean, the basic gist of this, or the basic outcome of all of those three things is that random acts of marketing no longer work the way they used to.
Exactly.
So now you know that random acts of marketing are not the way you want to go. So what do you do instead? You want to replace your random acts of marketing with a system. And the characteristics of a great system are that the events are measurable. Every event in your system is measurable. Every event is also interchangeable. So if you have something that's not working, you can substitute it with something that is, and measure it, see how it works, and eventually do continuous improvement of each element in your system. You want to make sure that each event leads to a next step and that there is always a next step. My flight instructor used to tell me that always be thinking of the next step, and this is just as important in marketing as it is in flying an airplane. You always want to be ahead of the curve and make sure that you know what's supposed to happen next. So the result is that you're in control of a pipeline of new leads, and that can really transform your business. So what does a marketing system look like? Here's a picture of one that we use for some of our clients. Yours is going to look different. Everybody's has some different elements in it, but each element you can see is measurable. We've got a number in there. Each element is also interchangeable. If we decide not to do a trade show, we can substitute that for something else and still have the system work. Phase 1, is getting attention. Phase 2 is all of the things that you need to do from the time that you've gotten a person's attention to the time that they make a sale. And sometimes that can be days, weeks, months of time that pass while you're waiting for their budget to be approved or while you're answering all of their questions and making sure that you complete that cycle. And phase 3 is recaptures, referrals, satisfaction surveys. That's something that we really can't ignore, especially in the aviation industry. A lot of our business comes from referrals, and so that's one definitely not to ignore. So there are two ways to build your system. One is to do it yourself. We have a coaching program that is fantastic where you're building your own internal marketing expertise, or we have consulting programs where we will do the work for you. And it's just a question of how much staff do you have, how much expertise do you have personally, how much control do you want of the whole scenario. So first, talking about the coaching program, some of the benefits of this are that your staff become the marketing experts. You're building your internal expertise there. You know your product best, so your experts, when they learn marketing, are very likely to be very effective. Other things, people always want to know, what does the coaching program include? It includes monthly webinars. It includes Q&As. Where you can ask us questions and we'll take the time to go through that with you. Individual assistance with projects on the topic that we're covering that month. This is not a light, fluffy course. We actually have about a 20-page workbook on each topic, and we do expect you to spend about 4 hours a week working on the materials on your own projects. So this is marketing stuff that you need to be doing anyway, but doing it in a guided sort of a fashion. We do offer continuing education credit for people who take the course, so that's another way to make the time really worth it. And we also provide recordings of the webinars so that you have a growing library of marketing information. So what clients say about our coaching program are that they would recommend it to others, that it was a good value for the investment. It's actually surprised me that we haven't got anyone who has said that it wasn't a good value for the investment, because we have such a wide variety of people in the coaching program from different companies. But every one of them has found that every topic has been something that they can use. So that's something that we're really proud of. I saved a lot of time over figuring this out for myself. This is really our intention, so those are good things, and I wish I'd started sooner. We love that one as well. So other than coaching, we have consulting, and we have different service levels. So we have everything from our light aircraft program, which is kind of our bottom of the line, where we provide a little bit of assistance, to our business jet service level, which is where we do pretty much everything as a full service, as if you had hired a marketing agency to work with you full time. And the difference between those service levels is really about what is your time worth? What kind of staffing do you have? What kind of skills do they have? Do you want to outsource the whole thing and not worry about marketing and focus on your core business? Or do you want to really be involved and have a lot of those things be collaborative tasks? So, really the question when you look at these different service levels and decide which one of these is right for me is this question: what is your time worth? And that's really the most important question that you can ask as a business owner. So these are our consulting service levels. We have got, as we said, everything from the turboprop to the business jet, and you can see that by the check marks. The business jet includes everything, and the light aircraft includes the basics. So you can choose the level that suits you best. We can always start with a larger service level and work down, or vice versa, start with something basic and work up. A lot of folks find it really helpful to start with a higher service level and get things in place and rolling and get some sales coming in, and then they find that they may be overwhelmed with the number of leads coming in and they want to back off and go down to the turboprop or the light aircraft, and that's just fine. You're in control of the pipeline as always, and we work back and forth with you as needed, but these service levels are things that we've found that really work to bring in those leads and close sales and keep people coming back. And you can see in here also you've got your phase 1, your phase 2, and your phase 3. So your entire system is covered by one or more of these service levels. So what do clients say about our consulting service levels? We do a survey at about the 45-day point, which is about when we have everything up and running with a particular project. Most of them are getting much more leads than before, more leads and more prospects. A third of them say more than before, and 2/3 say much more than before. So that's what we like to see. In terms of sales, 2/3 of them are already, and this is again at the 45-day point, 2/3 of them are already getting more sales than before, and 1/3 are about the same as before. And a lot of those companies are people with longer sales cycles. How likely are you to recommend ABCI to others? 100% responded very likely, and that's what we love to see and what we want to keep as our methodology there. So let's get started. The next step, either way you want to go, with a coaching program or with a consulting program, is to download our ebook. It is Sales and Marketing in the Aviation Industry, Powerful Strategies and Tools. It's free information, and it also includes the information about the next steps, whether you want to pursue the coaching program with us and apply for that, or whether you want to go for one of our service levels and how to get started with us.